everybody or anybody that's out there at this time. And I just had an idea. Well, TDOA, it's interesting that you're here. Thanks so much for tuning in. I just had you call me crazy, but with all the announcements of reopening for California, I have this crazy hypothesis or crazy assertion that I'm thinking that California's June 15th. I mean, could it very well be? I don't know. I'm thinking it could be synonymous with another date. I know that that is officially California Day. I do believe that that's California Day, but why not? Since we're in woke mode, I want to take it a step further and call it. What about it's California's very own Juneteenth? I mean, it's the day that the peasants might be able to roam more freely um, around the state. I don't know. You got contingencies and caveats. It's a carrot, right? It's a carrot. I don't know. I mean, like I said, call me crazy, but I just thought of course, it's not historically the Juneteenth as in the Black community that, but I think there's parallels there. I think that instead of it being a day of liberation, it's actually going to be the opposite. You're going to be um, with more people getting mocktailed. I do believe we it was cited in that article that there were 20 million people that have been mocktailed so far. And from what I've seen via social media and even with the Hollyweirds people that, I think some of the propaganda is not quite working. So what do we do next? We go what to the shame game, right? I don't know. I don't watch mainstream TV or any of these award shows, but it seems like there was almost a minstrel show in which Anthony was it Anthony Johnson? Not Johnson. Anthony. I can't think of his last name. It's Anthony. He's a comedian. Like Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson was absolutely putting on a minstrel show on one of these award shows. It's uh, they use colloquialisms and idiosyncrasies and colloquialisms to mock black people. And then, of course, who better to do it than have a black host hosting and roasting and you know West Coast and you are going. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the call me crazy now. This and TDOA, I really appreciate it. And TDOA says that Newsom is a piece of shoe. Wow, that's very interesting. Leather or I don't know what do you say? TDOA, I really appreciate that. I appreciate that at this time. So yeah, he's certainly. I don't know. It's pretty brazen that he's making these that he's created his own Emancipation Day, considering the efforts to have him recalled. So if he's not recalled by then, does that mean he still gets to set a Juneteenth for the California peasants? I mean, is that I don't know. I'm just saying, you just feel free to chime in. I appreciate you for coming back. And yeah, I do apologize for the ambient noise uh, at the end of that last stream. But yeah, everything's pretty much we're living in an upside down world. So anytime somebody they talk about reopening or re something, it's not quite happening that way. It's not quite, that's not exactly what it means. Um, I think I played a clip for you guys the other night. I'm going to play it again right now. I think this is perfect context. perfect context for all this talk about reopening right now. So let's do that. Thank you guys so much for coming back. If you're around, I really appreciate it. I was having a moment, and so I'm going to play this clip for you. It comes from yours truly over at CNN, the most propagated source in news. So here we go. Check this one out again.
My main concern is that we're not going to reach herd immunity because of vaccine hesitancy. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to believe who desperately want the vaccine right now. And they're thinking, oh, well, it's just a small percentage of people who are actually anti-vaxxers. And that's true. There is the anti-science, anti-vaxxer contingent. But I think that there are many more people, millions of people, who, for whatever reason, have concerns about the vaccine, who just don't know what's in it for them. And we need to make it clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway. And I fear a situation of coming into the fall where we never reach herd immunity. And then we get hit by the next surge of COVID-19 in the fall, something that we could have prevented if we just got people vaccinated now.
All right, so they have that, that juicy piece of, CNN there. But I talked about this, when I first brought this to your guys' attention. But yeah, it's another carrot, right? I think it's another carrot for people to jump on. And then when she says, "Oh, people desperately want the vaccine right now," I mean, who is she talking to? What poll did you take? I mean, where are they getting these consensus that there's a consensus of people that want that desperately? Um, yeah, I just think it's working. I think it's working on some people, and then it's not working in many cases. In fact, I saw another video of Biden talking about people getting, oh, well, you guys need to slow down. We're not out of the woods yet. And it's like, don't make daddy lock you back down. If you don't do, I think that that there's a little bit more hesitancy than they're willing to admit. That's putting it nicely. I'm probably not even saying it properly. The hesitancy or more like resistance. Um, so yeah, so I just think that they're totally doing, as they say, they're doing the most, and there's one group of people that are at the center of the target of quite a bit. So if you haven't fallen for it by now, I guess there must be something wrong with you, or now you gotta, they gotta bring the shame game out, or yeah, I mean, they're doing skits now. They're doing skits on people that are not, um, yeah, using Hollywood to mock the consensus of Black people that are not taking it for whatever reason, whether they want to tie it to the past, whatever, they're not, they're now, you're being mocked. So I don't know what's next. I will put this link out here in the stream just in case somebody wants to jump on here just for a second. I mean, I know, what do you think of my Juneteenth? California's very own Juneteenth. But that's a carrot too. Um, and in the language of this Dr. Wen that you just saw, here are all these freedoms that you have. She said the key word, you already have these freedoms. So what do you mean? It's not there's more than one reality going on here. And yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the black community is going to be on the butt. It's going to be on the butt of the jokes now that we're not doing what Big Daddy says do, or should I say the M word? We're not doing what he says do. There must be something wrong with us. And of course, you got Hollywood playing their role. Liberals. Nobody can. What do you? That's why I call white privilege is when you can use when you can stand on a stage, white liberal to black liberal, and trade insults. You get permission from. You need permission. You actually need to get the permission from a black person in order that they need to grant you the privilege to make fun of them without you slugging them or whatever. You get to do these jokes without aggression or retaliation, so to speak. So that's my spin on that. But yeah, I'm just kind of putting it out there. I thought maybe we might look at one other thing, but yes, I am going to hold out to see um, what the Juneteenth even. I'm going to dig around a little bit more on their Juneteenth, which I don't think it's going to be an issue for me for one, but I'm going to dig around on the Juneteenth and see what else they are. What other stipulations are involved in that? Like what there's got to be some other that's a shiny carrot to give people a date for a fully reopening. But that also says to me, if there's 20 million people that have been mocktailed, is that also the date that he's giving, that he's saying that, the rest, I don't know how many people are in the state, what, 40 million maybe? That he's saying the other 20 million, that's your timeline, that's your time is up in that time frame as well. So I think there's even something, I think there's even like a mocktail tracker out there. They're just going all out. I mean, I yeah, it's just it's bizarro land, but I think things are going to get real here very very soon. And when I say here, it's relative to where you are for all my listeners, not just of those of us that are on the left-ish globalist coast, if you will. So yeah, I'm going to follow that just a little bit and see what the tracker is, because my time is winding down, but I I'm just saying, I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very relative to see how that's going to play out. But then I think they know it's a carrot, because you want to know why. For one, how when you have 10% of the kids testing positive for the situation at the down at the border or the convention center, and you've got teachers going down there to teach those students, do you not think that's going to cause the numbers to go back up? That's going to, you know what is it you say, problem, reaction, solution. They've already identified the problem for you, and then they're going to react, and then they're going to say, oh, boom, you got to lock back down again. Oh no, not Juneteenth for you after all. It'll be something else. Be another day. Give you another day. You didn't do what Big Daddy said do. You need to do what the master said to do. And YouTube, do your thing. Feel free to do your thing. Teresa says, hi, Black Spring. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I really do. But I think I might have one other thing. So that was for those of you that are just tuning in, I have coined. The June 15th, which is AKA, that's California Day. That's national. Is it? Do we call it National California Day? I think it's California Day for sure. But it's also, to me, it's I think there's some parallels. There's some. I think was it supposed to be Free the Peasants Day, or I don't know. I think it's going to be the opposite of going to be opposite of liberation. I think it's going to be, uh, yeah, more like, I think it's going to be more like, it's more like enslavement or something oppressive. It'll be more oppressive than anything. And Teresa says, doing well considering all that's going on. Hope you're well too. Thank you so much. I am hanging around, Teresa. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it is pretty crazy, but at some point, enough is enough. And yeah, that's kind of like what I'm on about. But what I'm going to do also is I'm going to go to, I think I might take us into one other story here. Because you guys know very well that all states have not been operating under, I mean, California was one of the first states to lock down along with New York. So any kind of carrot at this point, what does that mean? What does that mean? Some of these other states never had an official, they never had a perpetual lockdown. As yeah, that's what my point is. They never had a perpetual lockdown or mask, like just ad infinitum measures. So I can't see, but you can let people into the country without having them tested. You're so worried about herd immunity that you can have surges on your border, and you can have kids that, what else have they not been tested for? I mean, they're so concerned about it. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know, and people seem to be absolutely fine with it. Everybody wants to put the pressure on, whether it's even your family members. Now, I hadn't had to deal with that directly until recently, but yeah, it's a real thing. It's almost like it just kind of almost does you no good to share that information with them, because they're government's the god for them, and they're going to be good little slaves and do what they're told. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. You'll be the butt of the next, I guess when the history books come out again, instead of it being, or the next menstrual shows come out in the history books, maybe they'll have black people that are showing pictures of black people running away from the mocktail or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. So yeah, that was my little my little hypothesis there. So what I'm going to do is, I think there's one other thing that I wanted to look into. Hope you guys are doing well out there. All right, which I think, I don't know. I don't know if they're actually going to do, it looks like there's a bunch of smoke and mirrors again on the 230 and the regulation of the social media networks. I don't know. I think their window of opportunity has, certainly shrunk. Should I use that word? Shrunk. I think it's definitely not where it was. So yeah, but I just want to get into one other thing here. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And I just want to remind you, it's that time again. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. And we'll do, since we're here, we might as well do a little bit of Twitch on a roll. Who would I be if I do Twitch on a roll? Be right back. All right, and I have a few comments. I'm going to get into some of the things I think right on the end of what AZ is saying. I'm hanging around AZ. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says Justice Thomas knocked it out of the park the other day. And he says social media is going to have its day of reckoning. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go. I have another story that's really bizarre, and I don't know if I want to share it. Do I have the guts to share it? I might before the end of this stream, but before the end of this live, I will have decided. I think I'm going to do it. It relates to climate change, but you would never guess what they're tying climate change to right now. If you guys want something a little bit, if you guys want me to share something a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of random. You got to put a one. You got to vote one for yes or two for no. But I'm going to share this one first. And this is going to come out of the New York Post. And this is the opinion piece. And it says $1 trillion. Why not $5 trillion? For progressives, the sky is no longer the limit on spending. So we're going to go there. And then I'm going to tell you, oh, there you guys are at. There you guys. You guys are asking for it. He says, seize the day. Okay. So, okay, after this one, we'll do it. It's related to climate change, but they're suggesting that something else is shrinking because of climate change. I'm not asking for any information. Don't donate your personal information on that. But first, we'll get to our New York Post story first. Thank you so much for coming in, Alex Bleeping Jones. Thank you for coming in, as well as AZ and Fidel. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go with this first one, and then we'll hop over to our to the zinging one. So, and comics news. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was on the Native Conservatives channel earlier. Like I was just in the chat, but then yeah. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Appreciate his support and what he's doing. Okay, so we're gonna go to this story, and this is gonna be coming from the New York Post. All right, guys. So we're gonna begin with. I'm gonna give you full scale on this one. With the full scale here, we have, this is 1 trillion. Why not 5 trillion? For progressives, the sky is no longer the limit on spending. All right, according to this, 200 billion, 2.2 trillion, 900 billion, 1.9 trillion over a year, Congress has passed $5.2 trillion in extraordinary spending. And President Biden wants another $3 to $4 trillion split between infrastructure and social spending. When a quote normal in quote federal budget pre-CV was 4.4 trillion, and with borrowing, no taxes funding nearly half of federal spending, it's not crazy to ask how much is too much before we risk huge inflation. Quote, modern monetary theory, end quote, is a trendy philosophy. AOC is a fan that holds that the government can spend as much money as it wants. Drinks all around. Even if bondholders don't feel like lending to us to make up the difference in spending and revenues, the Federal Reserve can create new money through, quote, keystrokes, end quote, argues the first ever MMT textbook published in 2019. The Fed has been doing that in early 2008, the amount of money available in the US economy was 7.5 trillion. By 2012, it had risen to more than $10 trillion. Much of this was the Fed printing electronic dollars to encourage people to spend after the economy crashed. The Fed, quote, grew, end quote, its own holdings from less than $1 trillion to more than $3 trillion. This may sound confusing, but is no different than if you received a bank statement listing the amount of money in your checking account, didn't like it, and soon took a pen and added some zeros. That didn't cause inflation, sort of. So why should this? But this time is different. In a year, the Fed has nearly doubled its holdings again, that pen, from $4 trillion to $7.7 trillion. Money in the US economy has risen from 15.4 trillion to $19.7 trillion, partly because people who have kept their jobs have so little to spend on with travel and entertainment off limits. People who lost jobs need relief, but relief is different from hosing the economy with cash. The danger of too much spending is that it doesn't create productive goods or services, it just makes things cost more. That's especially true because when the economy opens up, people will spend the money they've saved. They're already searching for plane flights. As people can go places, they'll use stimulus to bid up the price of travel or restaurant meal. It's theoretically great if the flight attendant or the waiter get paid more, but they will also pay more for rent and gas. What about infrastructure? Biden's new multi-trillion-dollar push. We need better, faster trains and dams that don't break. Obama spent $60 billion a year on infrastructure, so why not spend $500 billion a year as Biden's plan reportedly proposes? Why not spend $500 trillion? This could mean classic inflation, too much money chasing too few goods. Windmills need huge amounts of steel or fiberglass. Burrowing tunnels require specialized machines and experienced or trained workers. The price of key commodities such as copper is soaring on the expectation of higher demand. Okay, the academic version of modern monetary theory actually warns against inflation. Inflation, quote, is a real danger, end quote, wrote economist Stephen Kelton in her MMT book. But the politicians haven't read the fine print or don't really care. So, in that picture, to round this out, is I guess this is Chairman Powell. And I do remember Pelosi saying some time ago that think big, think big, when they were, I think it was, of course, Trump was still in office. I think this was when maybe the first stimulus package was on the tape, was, in the conversation. I think this was, it was just in conversation. Of course, she had all this a bunch of port projects and, you know, their little wish list items, like Planned Parenthood and I think they wanted to throw the voting they wanted to do something similar to what they're doing with HR right now. Yeah, the universal basic UBI, that was the one of the presidential nominees. That was one of his ideas. But to me, everything they're doing now, they all had a piece of that agenda on the stage during the presidential during the debates. They all had a piece of that same agenda. It was just, I can't think, is it Wong? I can't think of the guy's name right now. For whatever reason, I can't think of his name. But yeah, that was the piece that he was kind of championing. And of course, everybody had a trophy. What was it? Beto O'Rourke. He was gonna be the guy that's gonna get your AR. You know, everybody had a piece. Everybody got, even if you lost in your bid, in your quest, you still had a piece of you had a consolation prize that basically contributes to the Green New Deal or this whole agenda. So the UBI, I think they're trying to do that already with the I think the American Rescue Plan. I think that's kind of a trial run, if you will, on that. Because I think they're trying to come up with a way to give parents money for their children. I keep seeing that. That's, to me, that's almost been on a daily rotation. Yeah. So yeah, I think the spending is not going to stop. I'm going to read this message from the one, the only Ronnie Mann is here. Thank you so much, Ronnie Mann, for coming in at this 11th hour. I appreciate it. And Ronnie Mann says implications on which to ponder. What does a multi-trillion-dollar bubble look / feel like when it bursts? Ooh, I think it's gonna burn. That's, I think it's gonna burn. Um, so we have Comics News and Ronnie Mann. Ronnie Mann says, "Hey, good peoples, please be sure to hit the like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Ronnie Mann, for all that you do around here." And yes, so for those of you that are just joining us, I opened with my own hypothesis on what California's June 15th actually means. I think it has a couple of meanings. I think it has a meaning to, I think it's a carrot for the people, and it's a carrot. It's a carrot, but then it's also not going to be like a liberation day. It's not. And there's all kinds of contingencies, of course, he has. So, of course, do you think I think he's going to, if they're having with this border surge and those teachers going down to do in-person learning, do you actually think that these numbers are going to, they're going to not use the numbers against this reopening? I doubt it. I think it's they're gassing you up. And I mentioned to TDOA that I think that the shame game is up, and they got Hollywood using the blacks to do minstrel shows. They got blackface minstrel shows courtesy of black comedians, Anthony Anderson. And I don't know who that tool that he was standing next to up there, but they're all just basically, they keep the COVID narrative going on, and it's all, to me, lies and propaganda. So, all right, so you guys asked for it. You guys asked me for this, and I decided I'm going to share it with you. I really appreciate it. Teresa here, she says, "This is psychological warfare at its finest." Thank you for coming in. And let's go ahead and go to that story. So, but before we do, I want to give you guys a breath of fresh air so you'll be ready when I come right back. We'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back, right after this. All right, guys, I thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Screen with Autumn. So, I'm going to get on to something a little different. And this is going to come from Euronews.com. So, if you're not sitting down, please have a seat. Feel free to have a seat. All right, so I'm going to share this screen with you guys right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So if that's it, we're going to go to Euronews.com. Just when you thought climate change wasn't affecting everything, and just when you didn't think everything has a virus, now you get to see. Here we have a headline. According to this, you know what are shrinking because of pollution, warns environmental scientist. Now read this title here. Dare I say, can I dress it up and say phallus? We have, this is Euro News, okay? Euro News for the win. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys full scale on this so I don't have to read that out loud, but I'll read it in context, but I'll give you guys the full scale on it right now. Okay, so here you are. According to this, penises are shrinking because of pollution, warns environmental scientist. Now, is that what they call wild? Is that wild enough for you? Are you guys concerned about climate change yet? It says, in case you needed another reason to care about the climate crisis, it has been found that pollution is causing human you know what's to shrink. A leading epidemiologist and environmental scientist has published a book which examines the link between industrial chemicals and the you know what length. Dr. Shauna Swan's book, Countdown, argues that our modern world is altering humans' reproductive development and threatening the future of our species. The book outlines how pollution is leading to higher rates of erectile dysfunction, fertility decline, and growing numbers of babies born with small you know what's. Though the headline fact about shrinking may sound like a laughing matter, the research paints a bleak portrait of humanity's longevity and ability to survive. Quote, in some parts of the world, the average 20 something today is less fertile than her grandmother was at 35, end quote, Dr. Swan writes, dubbing the situation a, quote, global existential crisis, end quote, in the book. Quote, chemicals in our environment and unhealthy lifestyle practices in our modern world, are disrupting our hormonal balance, causing various degrees of reproductive havoc, end quote. According to the book, humans meet 3 of 5 possible criteria used to define whether or not a species is endangered. Quote, only one needs to be met, end quote, writes Dr. Swan. Quote, the current state of affairs for humans meets at least 3, end quote. What is it about pollution that's causing these problems? According to Dr. Swan's research, this disruption is caused by phthalates chemicals used in plastic manufacturing, which can impact how hormone endocrine is produced. This group of chemicals is used to help increase the flexibility of substance. They can be found in toys, food packaging, detergents, cosmetics, and many more products. Dr. Schwann believes that these substances are radically harming human development. Quote, babies are now entering the world already contaminated with chemicals because of the substances they absorb in the womb, end quote, she says. Much of Dr. Schwann's recent work has focused on the effects of phthalates, initially looking at phthalate syndrome in rats. In 2000, however, there were a breakthrough in the field. It became possible to measure how low doses of phthalates in humans. Since then, Dr. Schwann has authored papers on how these chemicals can pass between parents and their offspring, the impact of female sexual desire, and most recently, a you know what length. One of her most famous studies examined the intersection between sperm count and pollution in 2017 in groundbreaking research which looked at men's fertility over the last 4 decades. After studying 185 studies involving almost 45,000 healthy men, Dr. Swan and her team concluded that the sperm counts among men in Western countries had dropped by 59% between 1973 and 2011. But there's some good news since the creation of the European Environment Agency to the rescue, right? You need environmental agencies to the rescue. European citizens are exposed to 41% less particulate pollution than we were 2 decades ago. It's believed that these regulations have gifted Europeans an extra 9 months of life expectancy on average. Quote, a demand for change from citizens and subsequent strong policies have helped to clear the air in parts of Europe before and can continue to do so to ensure that high pollution today does not need to be tomorrow's fate, end quote, says Michael Greenstone, director of the Energy Politics Institute at the University of Chicago. So if pollution reduction measures can be properly implemented, there's still hope for the future and humanity's fertility. Now, I will take a vote if you guys are interested in. I will take a 1 if you guys are interested in this article, and I'll take a 2. Well, no, if you want it, I'll put it there, but I have to get more than one in order for me to put that link in the stream. All right, guys. So there you go. You got. They're so worried about humanity. Can you tell? That they're so concerned about humanity that you got to save the earth? And I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I need to confirm the source on this. But I'm hearing that they're thinking that these lockdowns are good, that these lockdowns should be done every couple of months because the carbon footprint, I guess, maybe was reduced in some sense. All right, you asked for it. Easy Infidel, you got it. I'm going to put it in the stream now. It's one crisis after another. I mean, what do we do? Okay, so that's Euro news. But it takes, you got to have government agencies to save everybody, to save humanity from the climate crisis. So what's John Kerry going to do about it? He's the climate czar, right? He's the climate czar. What's he going to do about America's problem? Okay. I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And I think there is a link out there in the stream for anybody that wants to chime in and, give you guys your typical 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to say so long on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. But yes, this stream was inspired by the Juneteenth, which is known to the Black community as an emancipation, a Texas, maybe an official emancipation out of Texas. I was in Galveston, Texas. I believe the Juneteenth was associated with, which I think they were talking about putting that on the calendar. But California, of course, already has California Day, and it is the 15th of June. So I kind of had my own little radical moment, I guess, of extreme conspiracy that this is California's Juneteenth, and it's actually a carrot. It's not a real Juneteenth. It's actually not going to be a day of liberation. It'll be a day of maybe you getting the screws tightened or something on the chains. So yeah, that was the inspiration for. So if you're getting to this now, if you hear this in replay, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. But yeah, it's just bizarro land, and I don't know. I think it's interesting that Newsom is making plans for June. I don't know where they are again with the recall process or the special election. I don't know where they are on it. I guess I don't know, from last I heard that they had successfully verified the signatures. They're so worried about signatures, so worried about integrity of signatures around here, but we'll see. I'm going to run a couple of infomercials, and I'm going to say hello to everybody in the stream and salute, and we're going to get out of here. All right, guys, I will be right back right after this. Okay, and I'm gonna read some comments here. Of course, as always, I appreciate you guys and the feedback. And Teresa says people are so lost, constantly looking for someone to save them. So sad. Yes, yes. Yeah, that seems to be like a daily thing. And AZ says the cray cray is on the upswing. Teresa says no end in sight. And AZ says, I heard that the Messiah arrived at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem on March 27th. Search YouTube or Ben David, you'll see a ton of Spanish language videos talking about it. And Ronnie Man says, consider supporting. Oh, thank you very much, Ronnie Man. You're the gold standard around here. And AZ says half of them say it's the Messiah, the other half says it's the Antichrist. You're kidding, AZ. Let me write down this information. Okay, Ben David. I'm writing this. I'm writing this down because who knows when they'll release it. They probably don't like what I'm saying, and they'll probably go through and try to reprove. Probably try to reprove something that I've said. You know, if you say anything about MTG, you know, they need to educate you on the 17th letter of the alphabet. So who knows? I mean, I noticed that they've kind of gone back and anything that I've said about the CV, they'll go on and put their little hack check on is what they do. So okay. So I wrote that down. Thank you so much, Ronnie Man. I have one more Twitch on the roll, and I want to say thank you once again to all my friends down in my friends that are listening down in Texas. I really appreciate you guys for listening there. And whether you're listening or watching, I really appreciate you for coming in. And I'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. Okay. Sure, that'll be great. If you can, AZ, I appreciate it. Because that'll be great. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna start digging around like I normally do. that's what I'm gonna do. So I appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna go through and say hi to everybody, and then we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for coming in for my for my ideas on California's very own Juneteenth. And hello, and thank you to Tyrant Spain TDOA for all that you do to support the channel. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing out the stream from earlier. I appreciate that. And Teresa, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Hazy, thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel as you always do. And thank you for sharing that link with us. And Alex Bleeping Jones, thank you so much for coming in. And Comics News, really appreciate it. And Ronnie Man, thank you so much for taking care of the stripes in here, and just all your support on the channel. I appreciate it. And let's see, Comics News and Black Star Company. Black Star Company wanted to know what's the topic of this live. Well, I didn't put it on here, but it was California's Juneteenth. And yeah, and that's that's my hypothesis on that. Um, it was in the news earlier today. Of course, it wasn't related to. It wasn't called Juneteenth. That's what I'm calling it because And Stingray, cool. Thank you so much for coming in. Looks like you're new. Says hope your day went well. Thank you. And Alex Bleeping Jones. Uh, Alex Bleeping Jones says, "Is there a way to contact you? If you will go to Blackspring at Gmail. Go to Blackspring at Gmail. I mean, Blackspring with Autumn at gmail.com. Yeah, just go to Blackspring with Autumn, just the whole thing. Blackspring with Autumn at gmail.com, and you can email me there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex Weeping Jones. In fact, I'll just put it in here just for kicks. Okay. So it's just at Gmail. And what else do I have? And thank you, Teresa, for coming in. And yes, thank you, Ronnie Man, the Twitch Drive. Um, yeah, and it's very sad to say that we finally met that deadline. Do we have any Periscope survivors here? Any Periscope survivors over on Twitch? Yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's not fun, all the shifting that we have to do just to stay around, but really appreciate it. Yes, I am on Instagram, and I am going to start doing some things on Instagram. Actually, I was on somebody else's live Instagram last night, just kind of on a whim, but that seems to be growing a little bit too via Instagram. But that was fun. I guess it's different platform there, different way to stream, but it was fun. And yeah, so if you're not on Twitch, and we got to keep the campaign going, even though Periscope has officially shut down. I think it has. I think maybe people are still getting. I don't know if people are getting notifications still. I'm not getting. I think I got rid of the Periscope app, so I'm not even. I don't know what's going on Periscope anymore. I really don't. But as always, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. AZ says I have an old Instagram. Yeah, you just hop on if you go on the app. If you go on the app, you can get. I think you'll be up to date there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Instagram is interesting. I think they're run by some of the same people, but so I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in, and I'm going to be saying so long from here. Thank you guys so much for coming in and supporting the channel, and also I look forward, of course, to seeing you guys on the next live stream, on a video, a moonlight stream, or I don't know, as we call them, test around here. So also, if you're interested, you can always hop over to Twitch and even, see what's going on Instagram these days. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Tuesday/Wednesday morning.